Okay. Hare Krishna devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada. So we'll start with brief prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desutarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, let me share my screen and we can discuss chapter 4 summary. Thank you for all those who joined. So I'll make it a bigger screen. How do you go? Okay. So it will be all of you are been reading Bhagavad Gita daily, 2 verses a day almost. So it's a nice thank you for accompanying this journey. So this is a quick recap of the chapter that we completed recently, so that we can capture some of the essences. Whenever we read Bhagavad Gita, whenever we hear Bhagavad Gita or spiritual knowledge, it's more important to capture at least some essences so we can apply in our life more than I completed my reading. That's also important. But more important is capture some essence and apply it in our life. So these overview sessions are meant to give some glimpses of applying our knowledge into our real day life. That's the purpose of these sessions, not necessarily to go into every detail that is given in the chapter. So with that understanding, I will proceed with the overview and then we'll discuss some practical applications in our life. What can we learn from the Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 so we can really apply in our life for day-to-day life. Yeah? So this is a high level. There are two different ways. I'll give the overview of the chapter first. This is one of the ways. This is the way to look at the chapter in terms of different sections. First section of the chapter 4, like you might remember, is Krishna starts revealing that how this knowledge, first he gave it to sun god long time ago, several thousands of years ago, like that. And then the knowledge is coming down in disciplic succession, like that he describes. And then Arjuna asks the question, how come your sun god is very, very senior to you? You were born recently. How come you told him? Like that he asks. Then Krishna describes the nature of his form. This is the first time Krishna is introducing himself uh, uh, in a direct way, telling about his nature of his appearance and how his transcendental form. We might forget our previous life, but Krishna doesn't forget. Like that, he reveals the truth about him also in this section. And then in this section, he also tells him that actually, why I'm telling you this knowledge is because you're sincere, because you're my friend and you're a devotee. We'll discuss more about it, but let us remember that is not the intelligence that is required to learn transcendental knowledge, to receive the transcendental knowledge from a guru. That's not the qualification. So we'll hear more about it. That's the first section. And after telling the how the eternal knowledge has been coming and how nature of him, nature of his appearance, why does he come to this world? Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha duskrutam dharma samsthapanadaya sambhavam yuge yuge. That all verse also in this section. Why he comes it describe. Then the next section describes how we need to apply the transcendental knowledge. So what is this talking about? Krishna is talking about the akarma. So how, yeah, akarma, Krishna is talking about akarma. Akarma means whenever we do some action, we're supposed to get some reaction. But in this case, he tells the art of working for Krishna. That way, there's no reactions for us like that. That's what is described in second section. And third section talks about understanding karma on the platform of jnana. This section describes about nishkama karma. That means where somebody is doing the work without any desire for results for himself. He doesn't want to do some work to keep it for himself. But instead, he does it for Krishna. That's the akarma section. Then the next section talks about how different kinds of sacrifices we need to receive transcendental knowledge. Normally, what we think, I need to learn to get knowledge. But spiritual knowledge works in a different way. Spiritual knowledge works with character, and character comes when we do selfless sacrifices. That's what is explained in this section. And then in the final section, Krishna describes how this is the section where we have the verse Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnana enana jnaninas tattva darshinaha. 4.34 verse is there in this section, where Krishna is describing how do we approach Guru in a submissive manner, how do we inquire from a Guru, and then how do we serve Guru. All that are essential for receiving transcendental knowledge from the Guru, he describes. And then he finally says, with the transcendental knowledge, we should do our duty. That's the overall breakdown of this chapter. So the connection from this chapter from previous chapter is that in the third chapter, if you remember, the end of the chapter concluded with how lust is the enemy for everybody. Arjuna asks, sometimes I'm being forced, like, even though I don't want to do it, I do something. Even though I want to do it, I cannot do it. As if like I'm forced by something. What is that? Krishna describes the lust only. And lust causes material bondage in this world, he describes. And Krishna describes the solution at the end of the third chapter, saying that lust has to be curbed by deliberate spiritual intelligence and by regulation. So now this chapter, Krishna is presenting the transcendental knowledge so that it can sharpen the spiritual intelligence. When our spiritual intelligence is sharpened with transcendental knowledge, then lust will go away. So now this is another different way of looking at the whole chapter with a simple acronym. EARS, ears, our ears. So in the olden days, Shruti, knowledge, scriptures were spoken from the mouth and disciples used to hear. And then they hear so perfectly well, but they share it with another one, exactly same replica, without any mistakes like that. That was the level of expertise and strength and skills they had at that time. So that's why the transit knowledge here acronym is years. E means eternal education. Krishna establishes in the first section of this chapter how like how when we buy a electronic device, computer, it comes with a manual. Like that, similarly, the life is manual. Krishna supplied the manual of life with Bhagavad Gita knowledge through parampara, through able teachers, through disciple succession, like that. And that's what he's talking about in the eternal education section. And he says we need sincerity and devotion to access that eternal education, like that. In the next section, he gives the accurate understanding to know about himself. How he's not one among us, he's actually Supreme Lord, and is a transcendental form. He doesn't forget like we forget, like that. And then he describes how, even though some people may think there are many gods, but in actuality, it's a monotheistic. He's the only God, and others are his servants. And it's an incorrect understanding that if you worship anybody, we'll go to the same place. That's not a true understanding. If you worship forefathers, we'll go to forefathers planet. If you worship demigod, we go to demigod planet. If you worship the Supreme Lord, we go to the spiritual world in spiritual world with Supreme Lord, like that. So he clarifies the accurate understanding in this section also. And then in the next section, he describes how by doing sacrifices and by working with knowledge, actually, we can do akarma. Akarma means we can remove the reactions. In this section, we learn it's not only good to remove the bad karma, it's also important to remove good karma. Why is that? Because even if I good karma, I need to take birth again in this material world. Then I will do some karma and make it bad again. So that possibility is there. That's why both good and bad karma need to be removed. That can be done by working for Krishna, he describes. That's how we can remove the reactions. And then last section talks about sacrifices. How we need to do sacrifices to develop spiritual character and sacrifices to develop knowledge. So the best way to receive transcendental knowledge is by performing sacrifices. And the sacrifices will help us develop character. And one of the difficult sacrifices we can perform is to approach a spiritual master, submit to him, and inquire from him, and then serve him. So this is the famous verse, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That was we just discussed, right? 4.34. So that is this last section Krishna is describing how the best sacrifice is to be done like that. So far we've seen Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 overview in two different angles altogether. Yeah. And we heard about the connection from previous chapter to this chapter also. Now going to some very valuable application points for the daily life. Okay. One is how does this knowledge in chapter 4 help us to change our thinking? So Bhagavad Gita changes us to think differently than what we're thinking right now. So the conventional thinking. So the first level thinking Bhagavad Gita is teaching us, normally people learn to study like that. But to study, generally people think they require a lot of intelligence to understand, learn like that. But Krishna is describing that actually transcendental knowledge is not something we get. Transcendental knowledge is something we receive from the Guru. And how do we receive it? By that knowledge we receive through sincerity. That is the key word here, sincerity. And how do you show that sincerity? By saying, I'm sincere. Is that the way? Our sincerity shows up by sacrificing, by doing service selflessly. That's so our sincerity we can show to Krishna and Guru. So then when we do selfless sacrifices, then and in serving, and also we apply the knowledge that we are receiving in our own life and share with others. That is the way we can please Guru and Krishna. Then by Krishna will give us some grace. Because of that grace, he will illuminate our consciousness. So by being pleased with our selflessness, that's how we achieve the true knowledge in our heart. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita later chapters, we'll see, Dadami buddhi yogantam. I will give the intelligence like that, he says. So like that, so the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is learned not just by study, but through sincerity and selfless service. We Krishna gets pleased and Krishna gives the grace, and that's how we receive the knowledge. That is the understanding we get. So what does this mean? Why is this important for me? Let us say I'm not blessed with so much intelligence. Still I can perform bhakti because everybody has sincerity. They can muster more sincerity. So that's why it's very important for us to understand that. We'll talk more about it in one of the obstacles that's coming up also. So now that's about how to think differently. Now, we just now said, I don't need so much intelligence to learn the knowledge of scriptures. Through get the transcendental knowledge, I need sincerity. Now, we obviously read scriptures, we hear from Guru Sadhu Shastra. Then, how are we supposed to digest this wisdom? When we eat food, the moment we put the food in the mouth, we don't get the strength and nourishment. But after we put the food in the mouth, we chew it and then it gets inside and digests, then we get the nourishment from the food. Similarly, when we hear or study or read scriptures, these are the 4 stages of spiritual learning that are involved. So if you notice, first stage is hearing or reading, Shravanam it's called. In this stage, we're receiving insights, we're receiving inspiration. When we are hearing, we try to clarify, is it clear to me? What is the standing out for me? What is the most important point I got from this today's session? Do you have any questions? Like that we need to think. That is the right way of reflecting on the hearing process. Once we hear the knowledge, then we reflect on it. What does it be reflecting means? Reflecting means we're deeply contemplating. What is my experience? What is the opportunities and difficulties that this new knowledge is bringing to me? Like that we carefully consider, understand the meaning of it basically. Then comes applying nididhyasanam. That means this is the stage of practical realization and application. So there, in that stage, not only we heard carefully, not only we reflected what kind of difficulties this will bring in, how does it fit into my life? Now we actually see how does this relate to my life right now? What changes can I make in my life? That's so we need to apply the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Then the last thing is, just because I understood, just because I'm trying to apply, that is not enough. We need mercy of the Supreme Lord. For that, we need to make a prayer to Supreme Lord. So we need to see what is the prayer I can make in this regard like that. We need to develop the desire to apply, and then we need to pray to Supreme Lord for giving us the mercy, so we can apply the wisdom we are learning, like that. So the 4 stages. Now coming to the next section. So far we talked about how chapter 4 is teaching us to think differently. Now we'll talk about how to find our real purpose, because many people live in the world, do so much hard work, but finally they think, oh my God, what am I doing in my life? Is not fulfilling. Uh, is am I wasting my time? Like that, they'll go to dissatisfaction mode. So to avoid that, we need to really understand what is our purpose, what is our dharma, what is our psychophysical nature, and what duties we are inclined to do. This is not such an easy task, but nevertheless, it can be done with some perseverance and with some help from guidance. So that's what this is talking about. How Krishna in this chapter talked about how there are 4 varnas, 4 social occupations. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra he talked about. Brahmana is the educator, Kshatriya is the executive or management, Vaishya is the entrepreneur, Sudra is the employee, like that. So if you notice, the activities of Brahmanas are teaching. Of course, they do many more activities. Basically, they study scriptures and teach scriptures. They do deity worship and teach deity worship. They accept charity and give charity, like that. There are many occupations are there. This is one of the key occupations is teaching for Brahmanas. Kshatriyas, they are good at managing things, coordinating things, organizing things, project management, like that. And the Vaishyas are good at supplying. That means they do the when something is less, they supply. Meaning they're actually involved in farming, co-production, business, getting funds, getting money, getting resources, people to work, like that. And then Sudras are employees. That means they assist other 3, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishyas nicely. Similarly, what is the value that they are adding, each of them? Brahmanas are giving knowledge, Kshatriyas are giving protection to society, Vaishyas are obtaining wealth for society, and the Sudras are bringing stability. So then, what do they, this value, Brahmanas are fighting ignorance, because now lack of knowledge is ignorance, right? That's what they're fighting. And this injustice, they'll fight with production. And there's insufficiency of some resources, they'll get the resources, wealth or something. And there's indolence, they bring stability. Indolence means not so stable position. So like laziness, not wanting to work, like that. From that position, they'll bring some activity to that life. And then what are the qualities that each of these 4 varnas have? Self-control, austerity, and purity are some of the qualities of Brahmana. There are a lot more, but some are highlighted here. And for Kshatriya, heroism, power, fortitude. Even in painful situation, they can still work through. And then Vaishyas are good at farming, co-production, business, like that. So, one second. I want to look through something. Yeah. Okay, then Sudras qualities are simplicity and loyalty, like that. And how are we supposed to know? What are we supposed to do with this information? We're supposed to introspect in our own life. What is my nature? What kind of qualities I naturally have? And then we need to analyze them. And we need to analyze what kind of things I like to do, what kind of things I am good at doing. When we analyze that, then we'll know where do we fit in among these categories, like that. And then uh, sometimes we may not be able to analyze ourselves so honestly and straightforward way. Then what do? We ask those we trust, our mentors, our friends, our guides. We ask them. So this is what I'm thinking I like doing. What do you think? Like that, wherever we have a trusted relationship, we work with them to understand. And then sometimes this is not enough. It not be black and white, is not clear. Then what do? We try out something. Then we'll know, am I good at this thing? Do I like to do this thing? We'll find out. Even if it fails, still it's okay. At least we know I'm not good at this. I may be good at that one, like that we can try. So that's how when you find the purpose and work like that, in fact, we can guide our children in terms of career selection and studies also by understanding this nature, psychophysical nature. There's actually a big book on this topic. It's called career dharma. That can help us to guide our children also in these aspects. So that's what we're learning from Bhagavad. So when we are working with our smadharma, our real purpose in this life, then we get satisfaction while we work simultaneously to please Krishna. Now, what is the obstacle to progress? From this chapter, we are learning one of the obstacles we can overcome with this chapter knowledge is we thinking I'm not intelligent enough because I don't understand lots of these things. So what to do? I'm not so intelligent enough. That way somebody may think. But uh, in order to learn this Bhagavad knowledge, we don't need to be intelligent enough. We just need to have sincerity and we need to have uh, interest to deeply understand this knowledge and apply in our life. The moment we have the desire to understand, desire to apply our knowledge in the life, Krishna will supply the necessary intelligence to apply this knowledge in our life. And then we also heard when we approach a guru in a humble mood, listening to him in a humble way, and then we ask thoughtful questions to clarify, and then we offer gratitude and heartfelt service to the guru, then that knowledge will be received by us like that. So spiritual knowledge is not like a linear fashion. I learned this one, I learned more, increasing like that. Same verses, same knowledge, same Bhagavad Gita we can read, and as we get purified, we'll get more and more insights like that by mercy of Krishna like that. So essence of Bhagavad Gita is very simple. We're spiritual beings, God is the supreme spirit, and when we give our heart to him in a selfless manner, unmotivated way, then not only do we discover our love for Krishna, but we awaken our love for others also, everyone and everything around us. That's how we rediscover our love for life also. So when we go through this, we need to consider what did I learn and am I running my life with this knowledge that I learned today like that. That's how we can consider this knowledge whenever we're reading and listening. Yeah, I think that is the last slide I had. Anybody has any comments or questions in what we discussed today and from chapter 4?
Prabhuji,
Yes, Hare Krishna.
ఆ, అందరూ తెలుగు వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారా?
తెలియదు మతి, I don't know. Go
ఓకే.
ahead, Mati.
ఓకే. నేను తెలుగులో అడుగుతాను. సో,
Yeah.
ఎక్కువ అంటే స్టార్టింగ్‌లో డివోటీస్‌ని వేరే వాళ్ళతో ఎవరితోనూ మాట్లాడొద్దు అంటారు. అంటే బయట వాళ్ళతో ఎక్కువ మాట్లాడొద్దు అంటారు.
So I'll repeat in English for everybody who's hearing the recording. Basically, the question in Telugu was, this devotee heard that it's not good to mix with those who are not performing devotion service in the beginning, like that she heard it seems. So what is the question, Mataji?
అంటే ఇప్పుడు మీరు లవ్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీవన్ అన్నారు గదా!
Yeah.
సో, సెల్ఫ్‌లెస్ వర్క్ అంటే లవ్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీవన్ అన్నారు. సో, లవ్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీవన్ అంటే సో, అందరితోను మంచిగా మాట్లాడుతూ అందరితోనూ ఉండాలా? లేకపోతే ఎవరితో మాట్లాడకుండా ఉండాలా?
Okay, got it. Thank you for the question. She's asking that when we discussed in the advanced stages, as we go into Krishna consciousness, we'll develop love for Krishna. And then at that time, because we develop love for Krishna, we'll love everyone. So then this Mataji is asking how when we develop love for everyone, we're saying love for everyone on one side. And this side, sometimes we hear that stay away from those who have different goals than our goals of devotion service like that. How do we understand these two? So let me explain. First thing is that loving everyone is on a spiritual platform, not on a material platform. What does that mean? What does that means is when we love Krishna, when we understand Krishna at a higher stages, as we realize this knowledge, then we understand all of us are belonging to Krishna. All of us are children of Krishna. At that level, we can love others. Number one. Number two, how do we show our love? We show our love by doing the best thing for other person like that. So we show the love by giving the best thing. What is the best thing Krishna wants to give? Krishna wants all of us to be eternally happy. So how we can be eternally happy? By engaging in devotion service. So when we love everybody, we give them uh, the opportunity to experience and practice devotion service. That is the one point. Now coming to second point. Second point is about how in the initial stages, let us say I want to become a tennis champion. So then it is very beneficial for me to associate with those who also want to become tennis champions instead of associating with those who want to become cricket champions. Because naturally, if I associate with those with cricket champion, let us say the cricket practicing guy is practicing 4 hours cricket. If I sit with him and sit in the grounds and watching him in cricket, I'm not doing my tennis practice for 4 hours. So like that, when we have different goals, we associate with those who have similar goals like us. That way, we can progress with a mutual inspirations, mutual aspirations, mutual sharing of experiences, mutual cooperation. That's how we can grow. That is the intention behind associating with devotees, because devotees have one kind of goals, and people who are not yet started practicing devotion service, they have different kinds of goals currently, but everybody is potentially devotees only. But the idea is we don't hate the other people, because Krishna doesn't like when we hate other people. Krishna doesn't like when we disrespect other people. We respect other people, but we might maintain the distance when the goals of the other person is different. Hope that helps, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so
Hare
we can.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranamalu.
Dhanavad Pranam, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Nice class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And it is very nice how to apply to your practical life. The I really like how we can take the points for our day-to-day life, right?
Yeah,
So that
yes, Mataji.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you
I
so
wanted
much.
to just ask one question, Prabhuji. How do
Yes,
we determine what is Swadharma? Because nowadays everybody does everything.
yes,
So,
correct.
how do we know that we come under Shudra? Because I
Ah,
never consider I come under, Kshatriya or Brahmana or Vaishya. So,
sure.
but it is not always Shudra only, because we work, we manage at home, at office, we manage the kids. So, how do we know what is Swadharma?
Nice, Mataji. So basically, it's not like you really observed, properly observed. In the olden days, in Vedic culture, this was very clear cut, because most people had one tendencies, one psychophysical nature very, very prominent. Like Sudra nature only, they used to do Sudra kind of duties only, they like to do like that. That was preserved through Vedic culture in terms of few things. One is Brahmana was marrying a Brahmana, Kshatriya was marrying Kshatriya. That is one way it was preserved. And second way it was preserved was Brahmanas were trained in the qualities of Brahmanical nature and also the duties of Brahmanical nature. That's how they continued the Brahmanical quality easily. But now, like you saying, we all have a mixture of different qualities. I have some Brahmana qualities, I have some Sudra qualities. I like to do some Brahmana things, I like to do some Sudra things like that. So that mixture is there. That is why it makes it difficult. That's why there are courses even to understand our Swadharma. But for a practical way, in simple way, the way we can understand is uh, what are my natural qualities? Am I naturally trying to be clean? Am I naturally, for example, if somebody has some injustice in my society, I want to fight for them. That is my natural propensity. Right away, I am the first person to get up. This injustice should not happen. Why are we treating her like that? Then that kind of tendencies will come up. Some of them will prominently come up. That we need to pay attention to. Number one. So that means paying attention to our natural qualities that we observe in ourselves like that. What is the most prominent? Doesn't mean that is the only quality we have. Number one. Number two, in terms of activity or duty, what do we naturally like to do? That means, let us say, no money is constraint is there. Okay, most of us today, we try to do what is most profitable, what will give you most salary, like that, right? That's how we train, unfortunately. But we need to start thinking what do if let us say money, I have a lot of money at home, I have a lot of free time at home, what do I like to do? That is a question we can explore. Number one is like a Venn diagram in mathematics. So that is one thing, what I like to do. Then let us say I like to do cooking, but when I try to do, I cannot, my cooking doesn't come out well, but I'm good at doing artwork, let us say. So there's a, what I like to do is different, is cooking, but what I'm good at doing is different. So sometimes these both intersect, that we need to watch out for. So then when we see this intersection between what I like to do and what I'm good at doing, that means when I do something, what comes out nicely, easily, that intersection is what we need to pay attention to do the swadharma, what activity we need to do, number one. But usually it's not so easy to figure out. That's why what we do also is the third circle in the Venn diagram. We try out some things. I try out now. I tried cooking, it didn't work out. Let me try some baking now. Because I've seen people who are good at baking, not good at cooking. People who are good at cooking, not good at baking. So I try out baking. So now that works out. Then I understand, oh, I'm good at baking. Then I can try that. Like that combination of these three, what I like to do, what I'm good at doing, and then by trying it out, different things like that. Then if I understood cooking is not good, baking I'm not working out, then let me try out something else. Like let me do a coordination of different things, coordination of a project, for example. I'll try out like that. This is this is what I meant by analyze here in the bottom. That means this is what I am trying to do to understand the Swadharma. And then second is we ask our elders, our guides who have been observing us regularly. What did you observe me? For example, my mentor used to tell me, wow, this gives life to you, Prabhu. That means they observed that I really like doing that. So that then we take that input. Oh, okay. That's what I understand. Then similarly, the guides can tell us what we can try out also. Some things, for example, in the arena of devotion service also. That's how we can understand by our own efforts to analyze what we are good at and what we like to do, and trying out different things, and by taking guidance we'll come to uh, come to some understanding of what we are good at. Basically, when we do what we are good at, what we like to do, then we'll do the best. We may not get the best money, but we'll be happy in life. So that is the principle Bhagavad is teaching us. But it doesn't go well with today. Many times we want the best money, even though we're unhappy every day. But Bhagavad is teaching us we be satisfied with what we're doing and do what we are best at and what we like to do. Like that, we need to figure out a different area of expertise for us in terms of our Swadharma Mataji. It's a complicated topic. There's a book called Career Dharma that Urmila Mataji wrote, and also she has seminar also on YouTube that is available, I think. Some several places she gave seminars. That's also very helpful guide to do that, understand, analyze the Swadharma also, Mataji. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's a big topic because I
Yes,
really
Mataji.
don't know what I'm good at it. I mean, I do everyday tasks. I work.
Mm. Yeah.
I maintain the family.
Yeah.
I mean, I cook everything, but I really still don't know I'm really good at what. Yeah,
Yeah. Keep
it's
trying.
self-analyzing, right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, self-analyzing, and others give feedback also. Oh, Mataji, you cook well. This kind of things like that. For example, some people only cook special items better. They cannot cook ordinary food better.
Yeah,
Some people cook everyday food better. No specials like that. Like that also different things will come out. Yeah.
right, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Welcome. Thank you,
Nicely
Mataji.
explained.
Maybe
Thank you.
Mataji, you can try which one you like most. You can when you take care of your kids, you like most part, or when you like cooking, you like the most part. Prabhuji is saying happiness. Which work you're doing brings you happiness?
Yeah.
So
Right.
if housework means we don't want to. Usually, I don't like to clean, but I have to clean. That is the one part. Uh, but watching TV, we love to watch TV, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Good.
So which
That's
part you love?
yeah. That also gives us. Yeah, we're more inclined towards recreation only all the time, or that also comes onto, yeah.
But
Brahmana is
Prabhuji,
under austerities, cleanliness like that. Yeah.
in Krishna, Bhagavad Gita says good things starting it will be hard, but final results, end results will be happy. But bad things like watching TV, at starting it will be like pleasurable, but end results are sorrow. So how to means we have to do the hard things first or happy things.
Nice point. So what we're doing, what we need to do is determined not based on how I feel about it. That's also important. But more importantly, what is favorable for my bhakti? That's a factor we need to consider also. What is favorable for my bhakti and what is important for my current constitutional position, current swadharma. For example, I'm a father, so I need to take my children to school. Even though I don't like to take them to school, I need to take them to school. So like that, some things we need to do. So basically, based on not only what we're feeling good, but based on what is favorable for bhakti, what is my duty, like that also we need to do. And then uh, the what you're quoting from Bhagavad is mode of goodness activities are poison in the beginning and nectar in the end. Whereas mode of passion feels like nectar in the beginning but poison at the end. That is what is where Krishna is describing how mode of goodness activities are very helpful for us. So we need to find out from Bhagavata what is aligned with mode of goodness. Is cleanliness mode of goodness or mode of passion? I want to be in mode of goodness. So let me try to clean more. So basically, when we align our activities based on the knowledge of Shastra to grow in bhakti, then what happens is then our psychophysical nature also can change. Psychophysical nature is not fixed. That means just because I analyze today with all the knowledge I got that I have Kshatriya qualities, that means it cannot change. There's nothing like that. So, in fact, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and doing bhakti, we can go beyond the four varnas into Parama Mahabhagavata Vaishnavas. So that way, psychophysical nature also can change. So when we understand that, then we focus on what we're doing based on what is suitable, based on scriptures and based on the guidance of Guru. What is suitable for a bhakti, we do them. That way, they will be, even if it's poison now, it will become nectar later on. Our measure of choosing the activity is not based on which is hard now, which is easy now, like that. Because some people may do harmful activities to the body, thinking that even though it's painful for body, it's good for me. Because it's nectar, the poison now, it'll become nectar. No, that's mode of ignorance, hurting ourselves, like that. Make sense, Mati?
Mm, yes, Prabhuji, little bit confusion.
Okay, yeah. What
Okay.
is the confusion? You want to ask another question?
Uh, Prabhuji, now I can't ask you. I'm outside, so I'll
Sure,
ask
no
you
problem.
later.
Sure.
Thank
Perfect,
you.
Mati. Okay, thank you, Mati. Thank you for your time. Okay, we'll, unless anybody has any other comments or questions, we can end here. Okay, sure. Bhagavad ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kupasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.
No, no, no.
Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.